We're very concerned that even going forward with an evidentiary hearing where members of the Utah County Attorney's Office are both litigating as representatives of the state in a prosecution and essentially defending their own propriety of proceeding in this prosecution is problematic.
I just think this is ambush and another stalling tactic to delay these proceedings.
Tyler Robinson's defense looking to disqualify the prosecution team from the case in what prosecutors are calling an ambush tactic.
This as the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin appeared emotionless in court.
Joining us now to react is former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Well, what do you think about this, how the prosecution is handling this and the defense in the case?
I think the defense is just trying to delay the trial, trying to throw up any procedural issue it can so that it has more time. The defense wants as much time as possible in order to track down its own leads, try to interview witnesses. I think, of course, they've got a very, very hard job ahead of them because we have on video the shooter killing at long distance, right? Charlie Kirk with a hunting rifle, and then we have a lot of evidence about how he tried to hide the weapon, how he tried to flee, and so on. I don't think there's any way they have a chance of winning. So what they want to do is try to delay this as long as possible. Also, they're overreaching. Suppose it is true that a kid of one of the people who worked in the prosecution's office was actually at the shooting. The answer would just be to disqualify that individual prosecutor. What the defense wants to do is disqualify the entire office, making it really difficult for anyone to prosecute Tyler Robinson.
There's just so much to unpack there, John. So this is the daughter of one of the prosecutors who isn't even being called as a witness. But I want to ask you about the judge, because Judge Graff, it looked like at one point yesterday was leaning in, sending a message to the defense saying, you didn't file this prior, you're bringing this now into the courtroom, and I am not going to tolerate this sort of stuff, which obviously the prosecutors called the ambush tactic.
Yes, I mean, the judge here wants to send a message that he's not going to tolerate any kind of shenanigans, surprises, last-minute witnesses, like the kind of thing you see on television trials, for example. Because, look, again, Tyler Robinson, the evidence is heavily against him. I think all the defense can do at best is try to slow it down, try to make it into a media circus, maybe get the prosecution to agree to some kind of favorable plea bargain. So the judge, being aware that this is what the defense's best hope is trying to shut that down as early as possible.
Well, John, a lot of us on this couch actually knew Charlie, loved him. We really want to find justice in this. Seems like a very good strategy on the part of the defense. I don't know, but I spoke to a sniper, actually two former military snipers, who told me that the type of gun that was used would not have created the injury that we saw with Charlie Kirk. They said it would have created a much bigger explosion when it hit him, and they were very confused by this. So maybe having more time to study all that and investigate that is a good strategy on the part of this young man.
Look, I knew Charlie, too. I was on his podcast talking to him 2 days before he was shot. And, of course, I would want full justice, too. And so I agree. That's why we want a public trial. Everyone can see the evidence, see what the prosecution has, see what the defense has, and we can be confident as the public there are no conspiracies and that the government here is acting properly. But based on what I've seen on the video clips and all the evidence the government has produced, I don't think that the defense has much, if any, chance of winning this case.
All right. Well, John Woo, we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.